Ietatiza Villain.
Good evening. Today we debate a motion that concerns the future of the younger generation. But first let me clarity is crucial. When we speak of artificial intelligence, we are talking about systems designed to perform tasks usually need human intelligence. From the recommendation algorithm on Instagram and TikTok to generative tools like ChatGPT and Gemini that can interpret, reason, and respond like a human. A serious threat is not just something that causes harm. It is deep, long-lasting danger, a danger that ripple into the future and hit our generation the hardest. And when we say younger generation, we are referring to those aged 10 to 28 who are still developing socially, emotionally, and cognitively, and yet exposed to AI more than any previous generation. Yes, AI is designed to assist us, but increasingly, the harm it introduces outweighs the benefit it promises. AI doesn't just help us, it erodes our ability to think for ourselves, cognitive offloading, relying on AI to think, analyze, and solve problems for us, making it easier to accept answers without truly understanding them, creating a fragile facade of competence over incompetence. When AI is doing the drafting, the solving, analyzing, what incentive is left for young people to master these skills? Skilled labor and knowledge lose their value and create a generation that cannot think critically. And a generation that cannot think critically becomes a generation that is easier to influence and easier to manipulate. Beyond thinking, AI also affects our emotion and mental well-being. Generative chatbots can induce delusions such as unrealistic attachment. It also accelerates loneliness and social isolation as young people rely on chatbot instead of real human interaction, worsening anxiety. Moreover, it exploits dopamine addiction, giving instant, unearned rewards can reduce motivation and resilience. AI doesn't just affect how young people think. It rewires how we feel, interact, strive. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not a minor concern. But that's not the end, for me and my generation at least. According to the 2025 Institute of Strategic and International Study Malaysia Policy Brief, 4.2 million Malaysians, or 28% of the workforce, are in highly automatable roles, with youth aged around 25 to 34 being the most exposed demographic. Clerical, administrative, customer service, finance, gig jobs, these are the exact entry-level jobs fresh graduates rely on. AI is erasing the first rungs of the career ladder before we can even take a step. And experience is impossible to gain because the jobs meant to train us no longer exist. My generation is the first generation being raised by AI and to be replaced by AI simultaneously. We are stepping into a workforce where our degrees lose value the moment we graduate. This is not a challenge. This is a direct threat. Therefore, we on the government side firmly believe that AI is indeed, without a doubt, is a serious threat, especially to the younger generation. AI is weakening our thinking, damaging our mental well-being, and cutting off our career opportunities before we can even start. It erodes our true potential, stability, and future. Thank you.
Bill Gates once said, technology is just a tool. What matters is how we use it, not reject it. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, after listening to the first government speaker, it is clear that they are fighting a losing battle. There is simply no real case to begin with. Honorable judges, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, first, I will rebut the case brought by the government side. Second, I will present the opposition arguments. In response to their points, they the government, we are surprised and disappointed that the government opened with such a minor case and exaggerated case. So, honorable judges, if the government can only win using the cases such as addiction, loss of thinking skill, insecurity, mental health, career opportunities, these are not caused by artificial intelligence itself, but by lack of digital literacy, lack of guidance, and weak regulations. As the leader of the opposition, I strongly believe that artificial intelligence is not a threat to the younger generation. It is a tool that accelerates learning and empowers youth. Here is the government blind spot. They assume young people are passive victims. They fail to recognize that younger generation today are adaptable, tech-savvy, and capable of using AI responsibly. Young people today use wide range of AI tools. For instance, Grammarly for improving writing, Google Gemini to help students learn faster. Because of the government false assumption, every point they presented becomes exaggerated and unrealistic. In the real world, artificial intelligence is not a threat to the younger generation. It is an opportunity. Even the Malaysian government recognizes this. Malaysia's national AI roadmap aims to position Malaysia as the top AI-driven economy by 2030, create new high-income jobs, which is highest skilled jobs to the younger generation, develop AI talent among youth. AI is projected to contribute over 60 billion to our economy by 2030. So, ladies and gentlemen, if AI were really a threat, Malaysia would not be investing billions into AI education, infrastructure, and youth training. So, the government bench today directly contradicts their own country's policy direction. As the leader of the opposition, I have made clear the government case is weak and strongly believe that artificial intelligence is not a threat to the younger generation. It is a tool that accelerates learning and empowers youth in new generation. Therefore, we strongly oppose the motion.
Thank you. Suffian.
Thank you, member of the opposition. Honorable Chair, ladies and gentlemen. The opposition proclaimed that AI will create jobs and save economy. I'm going to take a wild guess. You found those facts with AI, didn't you? This is exactly why AI is a threat. It gives you the answer, but it weakens your ability to question them. We stand firm that artificial intelligence is a serious threat to the younger generations. And let me tell you why. The opposition argue that technology creates opportunity, and it is just a tool. But let me tell you, AI is not just a tool, it's an intellectual substitute. This is an irresponsible use, this is intellectual surrendering to a tool. A McKinsey report projects that by 2030, 30% of the current US job could be automated. Goldman Sachs goes further, predicting that up to 50% of jobs could be fully automated by 2045. These are not just numbers. These are entry-level jobs, the learning jobs disappearing, the opposition disappearing. The opposition is promising a golden edge, but the data is showing a dark edge for us. The younger generation is not, in fact, gaining opportunity. They are losing them. And why they are losing their value? Because AI is destroying their human potential from the inside out. Dr. Justin Sung, a renowned learning coach, explains that for a young person to truly learn a skill, they must go through a process called forming a schema. They have to connect the dots, struggle with the concept, and see the big picture to actually understand information. But large language model like ChatGPT allow them to skip the struggle. AI creates the illusion of competence. It makes the user believe that they understand the topic just because they read a generated summary, but they have not learned it. They have bypassed the neural processing needed to build focus, reasoning, and resilience. And when they avoid the struggle to learn it, they lose the strength. The growing dependence on shortcut is stripping the younger generation of their most vital asset, critical thinking. This produces a generation of future workers who can prompt but cannot process. Employees see this coming. They are actively replacing entry-level roles with AI because why hire a junior employee who lacks deep expertise when a machine is cheaper? They are becoming less skilled, weaker, completely unable to compete in the job market. And this leads to the ultimate trap. When you have a generation with eroded critical thinking, facing a job market that doesn't need them, you don't just get economic failure, you get mental health crisis. We are seeing a skyrocketing rise in the anxiety and loss of self-worth among young people who realize that they cannot compete with the machine they were taught to rely on. The opposition is ignoring the fact that AI is not just taking their paycheck, it is destroying their sense of purpose. I stand with the proposition.
Thank you very much, Facilitator of the evening. Dear Toastmasters, honorable judges, good evening. Now, before this, the government side has mentioned that artificial intelligence will deplete jobs, induce people with less critical thinking skills. But the government side forgot that mankind always improves, always adapts, and always overcomes. Yes, some jobs will be replaced with automation through AI, but they forgot that we can adapt and overcome, and AI will produce more jobs related to AI. For example, more jobs in the IT section to handle AI software, manufacturing section where graphic cards, CPUs are used to run these AI models. So we from the opposition side heavily disagrees that critical thinking will be lessened in the future and jobs will lessen in the future. Instead, it will multiply because artificial intelligence will produce generations that adapts their critical thinking skills with the use of AI. Now, let me state my point as the opposition team. Now, in the education sector, AI is not a threat, but it is an accelerator. It acts as a catalyst in learning, especially in the higher level education, for example, in college and university. Now, allow me to share a personal experience of mine using AI. Now, when I was doing my degree back in 2015, my final year project or my degree thesis for the degree is to use AI to produce a mathematical model to predict the flood event in Panas River. Now, the thesis my thesis title was Prediction of Flood Event by Using Artificial Neural Network in Panas River. Now, what did I do is I took the Panas River water level from the year 2000 and 2002 to 2014 and used that data to train a mathematical model using artificial neural network to predict the water level that is coming as early as 3 hours before it happens. Now, taking data from 2000 to 2014, this is 122,640 hourly water level data. So if I were to use Excel and do it myself, I would spend months just for data sorting. But with the use of AI, it only takes me 1 day to sort the data and 2 weeks to process it. Thus, with this real-time use of AI, it proves that AI is in the education section, it accelerates and acts as a catalyst, but not as a threat. Once again, on the opposition team, I stand with the motion, it is not a threat to the younger generations. Back to you.
Oh, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our opposition team fielded this response about the human ability to improve, adapt, and overcome. However, it is precisely our cognitive abilities and our own mental health that allows us to do that. And AI will erode that beyond the point of our ability to improve, overcome, and adapt. Besides that, you also talked about the ability for us to create jobs in the IT sector. However, I do challenge you to find out whether this is balanced or not. The number of industries that will be eroded by AI versus the industries that benefit from AI. There is a huge disparity according to Goldman Sachs, according to my own colleague over here. As a mental health professional, I will talk about the mental health effects of AI on the human species. First, let's talk about delusions and hallucinations. According to a study by Aarhus University in Denmark, it revealed that AI actually encourages delusions in normal human people, not only for people who are susceptible to psychosis, but people like you and me. And particularly concerning is about romantic relationships with regards to chatbots. In fact, this even culminated in a case in April this year, where one youth was shot to death in Florida because he believed that OpenAI deleted and killed his girlfriend in ChatGPT. Number two, AI increases isolation and loneliness. Now, you think that chatbots may reduce isolation, but it is entirely out of the case, because a study from OpenAI and MIT Media Lab shows that people who express conversations more deeply with AI chatbots are in fact more lonely. And the youth, they prefer to talk to AI chatbots. Why? Because it offers a frictionless way of communicating with people, with AI chatbots. They prefer to chat with people who are able to reciprocate their emotions and feelings directly, rather than uncomfortable day-to-day conversations like this debate that we are having right now. Therefore, psychologists know, and all of us knows, the more we avoid, the more anxious we become. Therefore, the more we interact with AI, we are slowly progressing towards a path of social anxiety and social withdrawal. Thirdly, AI exploits dopamine addiction. Dopamine is that happy chemical that we get in our brain whenever we achieve a task. But nowadays, there are two ways to earn dopamine. Earn dopamine when you achieve a task, and unearned dopamine whenever you get dopamine on demand. This is by AI. For example, social media algorithms, and also AI chatbots. Whenever we have an easier path, we tend to take the easier path. Dopamine allows us to earn a sense of pride and achievement in whatever that we do. But our brain doesn't differentiate between earned and unearned dopamine. If we can get unearned dopamine on the go, then we lose our drive to achieve more in our life. This contributes to weakening of cognitive muscles necessary for us to do problem solving, resilience, and meaning making. Therefore, youths, they are developmentally not equipped to deal with anticipation, desire, and reinforcement loops, all strategies from the AI to hook us to them. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, when technology can induce delusions, loneliness, and impact our achievements, especially among youth, it is no longer just a tool like opposition says, it is a serious threat. And we stand by our motion firmly because of this.
Thank you.
Government side says, for speaker ones, what I see is they like to quote government side. Says that 28% of people lose jobs, 28% of people from which country. But I think at this point, I want to point out to you that the government side have been a little bit cheeky up to the point of misguiding the audience and judges. Why? Because they did not show you the whole truth. According to Goldman Sachs, 54% of CEOs globally would like to hire youngsters with AI capability. That they did not tell you. Yes, AI does eliminate jobs. According to World Economic Forum, in 2030, I don't know how many percent, but 90 millions of jobs will disappear due to AI. But the same trend, AI will generate 170 millions of jobs for this industry. So this is a net surplus of jobs. So whatever they said about jobs diminishing is utter lying. Next, talk about younger generation is easily manipulated. For people who have children of 5 years old, 10 years old, try to talk to them, you understand. They are not as easy as we are last time. So, going to speaker number 2, it says that we need to learn from basic to acquire the skill. We need to struggle. My dear government, how many of you know how to start fire using friction? Does it mean that you are weaker or you are lamer than your forefather? We do not need to go through every step of struggle to learn because we evolve. Nowadays, people want to learn faster. We cannot use the same wood to generate fire to cook. Now we are fast microwave. Therefore, that argument is also baseless. Now, look at this. This is what? This is a phone. This is what? This is not a smartphone. This is a limitless possibility. 20 years ago, only James Bond has the ability to touch key on his phone. AI, show me where should I go, where the enemy hides. But now today, I can take on it, chat box, ChatGPT. Please tell me. I'm lazy. I do not know how to work anymore. Give me time plans. For me, if I can work 4 hours a day and make $1 million 1 year, you give me all the time. Same goes to speaker number 1. All your points, actually, I've studied ChatGPT. The points given exactly from ChatGPT. Does it mean that I require ChatGPT to talk for me today? No. It gives me shorter time to analyze, to answer you, to rebut you. So my point today is AI does not limit, it's not a threat. It's actually empower youth. Look at this case. Teenager, age of 17, able to create AI to detect home abuse. Can you do that at your age 17 years old? China, 13 years old, able to create an algorithm to help their peers to study. Can we do that when we are 13 years old? Maybe you will say this is Chinese or Caucasian. Our Malaysian, own young children, age of 12 and 13, able to create an AI entrepreneur. So once again, I tell you, if my dear government still believe that AI is a threat to our younger generation, I rest my case. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to sum it up, allow me to systematically point out to you the reason why we have already won this case. Okay? Let me prove to you why you should reject this motion that AI is a threat to the younger generation. Our first speaker has already shown you that Malaysia has an AI roadmap. Why? Why does Malaysia has an AI roadmap? Because we, as a nation, do not want to be left behind. We do not want other countries to master and embrace this revolutionary technology while our younger generation lacks this skill. So we, unlike the opposition, unlike the government, the opposition wants our younger generation to master this revolutionary technology. Our second speaker clearly demonstrates to the audience that mastering AI is key for our younger generation to generate high income, high value digital jobs for the future. In their hands, AI will help the younger generation to calculate, to research data that will discover the cure for cancer, to unlock the secrets of the universe. Our third speaker correctly pointed out what is all plain for us to see, that although AI will replace a few jobs, but in its wake, AI will create a whole new ecosystem of industry that will be powering the economy of our brand new world. From the government side, they did raise one issue, which is emotional problem that will be raised by AI. But remember this, most probably in today's society, to solve this big problem, big data is needed. When you need big data to solve this problem, what do you use to solve this problem? Most probably AI. So AI will be needed to solve the problem of the emotional problems created by AI in the younger generation. So ladies and gentlemen, technology is a gift from God for humans to master their own destiny. AI is a gift from God. Therefore, join me. Reject this motion that AI is a threat to our younger generation.
Disagree.
Back to you.
Peter, we did not establish this proposition on the grounds of economics. You, the opposition, think about it on economic terms. We think of it at an existential level about AI. We do not care how many jobs it creates. We do not care how much it raises our salaries, because let's be honest, capital will not let us raise our salaries. Governments will not let us raise our salaries. We have Google, we have Meta, we have Nvidia, all this. Did our standard of living raise in the last 20, 30 years? No, it did not. Technology has been done nothing but enshrine us to prison us in a cobweb of binaries of ones and zeros. Your dreams, your desires, all now captured, not just in Google, through Google search, but now within AI. How many of you tell your life and dreams to AI itself? You are not just telling an AI, you're telling a neural network that is wired in with everybody else in this room. And now AI knows everything that is happening in this room. It can tell you with certain accuracy, almost, predictive powers of the present, predictive powers of the future. And once you are able to do that, you can add stimuli. You can change the future. And who will be holding these threads? It will be the psychic vampires. It will be capitalists. It will be big corporations whose only interest is in capital, who's already tricked you into thinking that tools are beneficial when in fact you're surrendering your very essence, your very being to the system. You speak of this as it is a gift from God. But do you know that you have surrendered your agency to not a God, but a false one, created by humanity? Idolatry at its worst. That is what AI is at this point. It is an existential threat that erodes our agency. Once everyone here is jacked into the hive mind that is AI, how long will it give you stimuli? How long will it tell you things that you want to hear? How long will it tell you things that you think is right, but it actually isn't? Without any critical thinking, without any level of maturity to understand what is it that we're being fed, we will not be able to peer through the illusion that is AI. You speak of the World Economic Forum. Do you know what Klaus Schwab said, founder and known pedophile? Do you know what he said? He said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. What kind of world do we want to live where we own nothing? Where even our own personalities can be engineered by an AI? I don't even need to talk to you to debate this. I'm pretty sure you can jack up an AI, you can do that work for you and tell me exactly the same thing. So what is the point that we have this debate when in fact you've all just regurgitated the same babble that every failed government or failed corporation who has not taken into account the human experience. Oh, they say these professional advertisements saying that we care for small companies, we care for small businesses, we care for the underclass, we care for people who are downtrodden, economically disenfranchised. Tell me, how many AI companies has uplifted truly the status quo of people who live below the poverty line? Has AI actually driven us economically? No, it has lined the pockets of capitalists, of big corporations and economists that think that numbers only matter. Remember what they said? One death is a tragedy. 1 million deaths is a statistic. Do you want to be part of that statistic? I say we reject AI at this current prototypical level before it erodes the agency of our young generation. Yes. Already we can see mental health declining. Is AI, with the rise of technology, have we become a happier society? Has the quality of life actually improved? No. I'm not saying correlation implies causation, but there seems to be a relative connection here. And I am appalled that the opposition, who's probably bought out by these AI companies, by these AI lobbies, they have mutilated the spirit of debate by believing that the human spirit can be quantified into something such as economics. It is cowardly. And I trust you, great supine protoplasmic invertebrate jellies with no backbone to stand on, to join us in motion of rejecting this idea, this notion, this radical notion that AI can be a net good and positive to us. We, as humans, we are flawed, we are imperfect, but we are created that way. So why do we want to replace the beauty that is human agency and human destiny to nothing but just a series of ones and zeros? Do we want that? Have you even considered the futures that we'll be creating in the next 30 to 40 years? Has any of you read Aldous Huxley or Philip K. Dick? They have already shown the future. They have heralded it. As prophets, they have shown us that the future will be that you'll be giving stimuli. You will be injected with the dreams, your own dreams and desires that is not even real. You will be eating nothing but illusions. As Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum says, you will eat the bugs and you will thank us for it. I rest my case. Thank you.
And I'm very sure that in doing your research ahead of the curve, but I'm not very sure whether you're able to think critically in selecting the right data for you as part of your evidence. Now, before I announce the results of today, I will do my oral adjudication first. Okay, as a national judge, as what I need to see. I think it's very crucial, like just now I explained to my co-judges, especially for the government and the opposition. Now, the first thing that I think for all sides, both sides, when you establish your case, as you come up with your definition, it is very crucial that you always stay focused on the motion. Stay focused on the motion. Because when some debaters become so excited, there seems to be off tangent. Off tangent meaning you are off track. Because you are so engaged in other areas that you're not supposed to talk about. Now, let's look into the definition. I think let's go from this side to this side. Now, first speaker, for example, you come up with your definitions. And after that, I realized where was the parameters there. We know that it is a serious threat for younger generations, but to what extent? So I need to see how you establish that parameters so that the first speaker opposition can look into that parameters, why in a way that it should not be accepted on your side. So that was the first setup on your parameters for your case line. And after that, as you introduce the argument, I need to see how you construct as it becomes the foundation of your ideas in a way that the first, second, third, and the next speaker will be very coherent to support your case. And after that, when is the engagement? The engagement is very important. In a way, it's not just about defending your case, but you need to engage on the other side the problem of their main premise. You understand? So, for example, like the first speaker, I was just the speaker on this side talks about this idea. This speaker talks about this idea. Is it very important for us to look at the rebuttals? If the rebuttals given not sufficient enough, the case will not be able to be toppled down. So in order for us, not just presenting that it is a serious threat or whether it is not a serious threat. I was trying to look at how, example, the first speaker talked about the definitions younger generation. If I look at the framework, the way she defined the age was just this. For example, what was it, the age? 10 to 20, right? So that becomes your argument. You can rebut on that one. The way how they limit the definitions. So if you have used AI as part of your research ahead of the curve, isn't it? You should be able to see not just ChatGPT or Google Gemini. You see how they come up with the definitions of younger generations. So I'm just wondering whether the first speaker has looked up from the ChatGPT, the AI tools. as part of your evidence. In a way that when you look at the definitions, younger generations, in what age, are you looking at the context of Asia or the global aspect? So you need to define on that one. So where is your parameters there? Because after that, you need to show us how it becomes a serious threat. To what extent? That's when the first, the second, third, and the next speaker will classify the areas that support the case line. Now, there are some cases, example, if the speakers use personal experience, is that allowed? Not to say it's wrong, but it is very important that speakers who have done their homework, because I'm very sure that you have given time, is it? Yes. This motion. So I'm very sure that most of the time when we give motions like 2 weeks before, you have done your homework. So if, example, you extract your data from your personal experience, or for example, you use your thesis, it's not wrong, but there is other citations that you can use. That's why under tier 1, tier 2, research base, you can see solid and proven results that whether it is a serious threat or it is not. I realized as you explain your ideas, you must go back to the motion. Bring back why it became a threat. So bring back and tell us, to the audience, why it is a threat. So that's why when I was looking at the arguments, how you build up, of course it's not easy for 3 minutes, but as I judge in national level, every speaker has given 8 minutes, 8 minutes to explain. So one speaker, 8 minutes. So they have longer time to explain and justify. But 3 minutes is not enough, isn't it? Yeah. But I actually I salute all the speakers from both sides, because it's not just about being brave enough to present your ideas, but to remember and looking at the arguments. But on the other side, about the style, when you look at your notes, I think some speakers, they are very natural, which is very good, because that will influence your style. But at the end of the day, like reply speech is very important. I think need to be corrected on both sides. The reply speech, not just presenting the summary of your piece approach or your case, but you also tell the problem set by the other side, the opponent. Why, in a way, you need to tell the judges why we should win this debate. Some speakers very well articulated, very good, but at the end of the day, where is the focus? Does that argument go back to the motion? You can say million of words, beautiful ideas, but I will straight away look into the motion again, whether that speaker talks about the motion. So that's very important to stay relevant to the motion. So today, I'm going to announce the result. The motion for today is accepted, which means the government wins. If I want to look at the structures of the speakers, and best debater goes to the third speaker. You